This is a lemon. This is Rust.
Leman Russ.
This video was about neither of them. Hey, what's up, it's Ken, back again with some more Warhammer.
Of course.
This video was about Leman Russ, the Primarch of the Space Wolves.
Fucker Space Wolves.
AKA Warhammer version of Furries.
Oh, yes, the Space Wolves, of course.
Long, complicated story, don't worry about it. Anyway, today we're gonna do 2 videos by Wolf Lord Rho. I don't like to make my intros long, so without further ado, let's get into it. Alright.
Hey everyone,
Right,
Wolf Lord Rho here. Before I begin today, a huge thank you for the virtual gift voucher. You didn't leave your name, but you did say the channel's helped you decide to check out some audiobooks for the first time. And I'm really glad I could help out. So a big thank you for your support, it is truly appreciated, thank you. But on to today. Today we discuss the disappearance and rumoured quest of Leman Russ. As we ask the question, was it ordered by the Emperor of Mankind? General spoiler warning to begin, as we will be discussing events from across the world of Warhammer 40k, so you have been warned. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. So Leman Russ, the Primarch of the Space Wolves. The tales of his disappearance are famed, announcing to his sons amidst the feasting hall that his life's breath is all but spent, and he is departing, only to return when needed for the wolf time. Now, of course, to the wider Imperium, Russ's disappearance is as mysterious as all of the Primarchs, though to his sons, his disappearance is far from it. He left for a very specific purpose: to find the seeds of the Tree of Life. And this is confirmed in the novel Space Wolf. When Ragnar is being suffused with the knowledge of the chapter, we are given this line. He learned of Russ's disappearance on his great quest to find the seeds of the Tree of Life, to return when needed for the wolf time. Now, of course, to the wider Imperium, Russ's disappearance is as mysterious as all of the Primarchs, though to his sons, his disappearance is far from it. He left for a very specific purpose: to find the seeds of the Tree of Life. And this is confirmed in the novel Space Wolf. When Ragnar is being suffused with the knowledge of the chapter, we are given...
Ragnar. We're getting into Viking history, aren't we? I mean, I can see the similarities. But yeah, I mean, even the Tree of Life, like, yeah, what, Ragnar? Seriously? They couldn't develop their own like mythology for the character or something like that. I mean, I'm not mad at it, but yeah, it's kind of weird, bro.
Given this line. He learned of Russ's disappearance on his great quest to find the seeds of the Tree of Life, which would cure his Emperor. Now, Russ's quest for the Tree of Life has been a talking point for fans for some time. However, it being specifically the seeds of the tree that Russ is seeking is a particular detail not often mentioned. The seeds give much greater scope for story narrative. With a bit of poetic license, a figurative seed could quite easily be a person, or well, something else. Now, the roots of this quest, or if it still remains canon, is unknown, but it could very easily still be. We haven't been given any specific reasons to think otherwise. So in the audio drama Parting of Ways, we hear Russ deliver his now famous speech to his sons. But again, what is so often overlooked is that Russ seems almost overcome beforehand by some kind of vision, becoming glassy-eyed and staring off into the distance, as if he alone is seeing something nobody else can. Now, if there was anyone or anything that could come to Russ in this way, it is most definitely the Emperor of Mankind. And if you've read Godblight, you'll know what I mean. Which, by the way, we are most definitely discussing that novel very soon. It may just have to be an unofficial week special. However, back on topic, as we discussed previously, when diving into the Siege of Terror novel Fury of Magnus, we know the Emperor even then foresaw a time when the Imperium would fight back against chaos like never before. A time when the Primarchs would return. And it would make a lot of sense for the Emperor to begin preparing for this possible future to come, dispatching Russ on this quest to find a power to relieve the Emperor from the Golden Throne. So why Russ? Well, of course he is the Emperor's executioner, and the Emperor did seem to trust him implicitly. He was without doubt one of his favoured sons, and definitely one.
I heard he was one of the Emperor's favorite sons because, I hate to use words like this, but he was simple-minded. You know, he was the executioner. That was his job. Kill people. You're very good at your job, son. Or, you know, how can you mess that up? Whoever your boss points at, you know, that's who you aim your chainsaw at. Or your bolter, or shit, a whole legion. Pretty simple.
One of the very few he would trust to enter the Eye of Terror without fear of corruption. In truth, I think that's exactly the reason he created the Canis Helix, and we'll dive into that theory another day. However, in recently rereading the new updated Dark Imperium, I also came to a bit of a conclusion. Now, during this novel we are given the flashback of Guilliman's death at the hands of his brother Fulgrim, and in this emotional scene we see Guilliman's mind reeling, knowing just how dependent the Imperium is on him. Without a Malcador or even a Rogel Dawn, Rabute is panicking at the thought of the Imperium being left with no one to take care of it, or at least to take the larger overview. They mourn me already, he realized. I am dead. I cannot die now. Not now. There is too much to do. Too much. Too much. What will Russ do without me? Or the Khan? Too much. Too much. So we know at least Jagatai and Russ were still believed to be within the Imperium at the time of Guilliman's death. And in looking at Russ's farewell speech, he mentions, I have waited too long. And in looking at Russ's farewell speech, too much. He would trust to enter reeling, knowing just how dependent the Imperium is on him. Without a Malcador or even a Rogel Dawn, Rabute is panicking at the thought of the Imperium being left with no one to take care of it, or at least to take the larger overview. They mourn me already, he realized. I am dead. I cannot die now. Not now. There is too much to do. Too much. Too much. What will Russ do without me? Or the Khan? Too much. Too much. So we know at least Jagatai and Russ were still believed to be within the Imperium at the time of Guilliman's death. And in looking at Russ's farewell speech, he mentions, "I have waited too long building this mountain," squabbling with Guilliman. So we can, I think, reasonably assume with that too, that Russ at least believes Guilliman is still the Lord Commander. So with both brothers believing the other is still present, it certainly feels like these two events happen at around the same time. And if we're going with the theory that the Emperor spoke to Russ, I definitely think it makes not only a good storyline, but also highly possible that the Emperor heard Guilliman as he was crying out for him in his final moments. Rabute may claim no psychic ability, but as we all know, the Primarchs are made of the warp. They all have some psychic presence. Guilliman crying out in his mind, in emotional distress like never before, would surely echo out psychically, and the Emperor would most definitely have heard it. And that is when he went to Russ. The future has many paths. The gift of foresight is not always an exact science. Perhaps it wasn't until that very moment, the moment he heard Guilliman cry out, that he knew the path of their future returns was coming, that the chance of victory, however slim, was still there. And so he mustered the strength he could to begin Russ's quest, knowing in the future now to come that it could just well play a critical piece in him leaving the Golden Throne. Now the final question we have to ask ourselves, just what is the Tree of Life? In Russ leaving for the Eye of Terror, it really draws your mind to a certain area, and that would be the Garden of Nurgle. Does the God of Life and Decay have something within his garden that could be used to revitalize the Emperor? Again, if you've read the novel Godblight, this most certainly plays into some current events and makes Russ's quest to find the seeds of the Tree of Life become all the more interesting. However, we'll have to wait to discuss that when we're breaking down Godblight. As always guys, what do you think? Why do you think Russ departed for the Eye of Terror? Was he dispatched by his father? And if so, what do you believe the seeds of the Tree of Life could be? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again tomorrow as Space Wolves Week continues.
Well, alright y'all, that is Wolf Lord Rho, Leman Russ, and the Tree of Life. Did the Emperor send him? Next video we're about to get into is which Primarchs did Russ think he could beat? I think this is going to be interesting. This video is also by Wolf Lord Rho. I mean, I'm going to ask you to go by his channel, but I think you've already been there. But even if you haven't been there in a while, go there, watch some videos, give some of his videos thumbs up. Give him a thumbs up, and while you're at it, hit a thumbs up on this video before you forget. Anyway, let's get into the video. This should be short. I think it's about like 8 or 9 minutes. That's why I put both of them together, just to make like a good 20-minute video on this channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the second video.
Hi everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here, and today I'm going to talk about which of his brothers Leman Russ thought he could beat, or perhaps not beat. Now, these thoughts in particular are from the novel Wolfsbane, which focuses on Leman Russ going to face Horus during the events of the Horus.
I already know that some of y'all are big fans of Leman Russ, so you're probably going to be pissed off about this one, but I probably did it because I knew it would cause controversy. I'm an ass sometimes.
Heresy. I have the audiobook version of this one, and I thoroughly recommend it. It's an extremely good novel, and it was an extremely good listen. The voice acting was particularly great. One of my very favourites thus far, and I've just realised it's another one done by Guy Haley. So again, he's been churning out some extremely good works the past couple of years. So, you know, at the minute, if I see his name, and it tends to be an extremely good read. So he's definitely my number one author when it comes to Black Library at the moment. So let's just get straight on to the topic. During this book, Russ invites Loken aboard his flagship, the Harafnikau, to find out what exactly has happened to Horus since his turn. And essentially, you know, can he beat him? You know, Russ hasn't seen Horus since the outbreak of the Horus heresy. He doesn't know what Horus has become. He's hearing the stories, he's hearing what everyone's saying, but he hasn't seen him. He doesn't know for himself. So he's really trying to find out more. And during this conversation, Russ begins to talk about fighting his brothers. So I'll read you the whole passage first, and then we'll go back and break down some of it. In the old days, I thought I could beat most of my brothers. Maybe not Sanguinius. In him is a fine blend of skill and fury. He is a Bazark in angel's garb. Or the Night Haunter, for he has the heedless power of the insane. But the others? Angron? He is too angry. Fulgrim, he shrugged. Too proud. Perturabo and Dawn are too stolid. Gilliman is too stern to enjoy battle, and so I would beat him too. Lorgar I could spit on and that would drop him into the dirt, he is so weak from all the kneeling. Alfarius is a wretched serpent, and we all know what happened to the great sorcerer of Prospero. The rest I could defeat as easily as this. He snapped his fingers. Horus though? Put to it, 1-on-1? I could have beaten him. It would have been hard and close fought, and had fortune favoured him over me, he would have triumphed. But the feat was within my grasp. So, how cool is that? I mean, I love Leman Russ. Firstly, yeah, he's pretty confident, as you would expect of the Emperor's executioner. You get the sense that he'd fancy his chances against any of them, but he realises the danger of Sanguinius and Kurz, and pretty confident, as you would expect of the Emperor's executioner. You get the sense that he'd fancy his chances against any of them, but he realises the danger of Sanguinius and Kurz, and that he might be a little out of his match, possibly. You know, maybe not Sanguinius. In him is a fine blend of skill and fury. He is a Bazark in angel's garb. This goes with most of the accepted lore that Sanguinius is essentially an absolute badass, that the only reason he isn't kicking everyone's asses is that he's just too damn nice. But seriously, a duel between Russ and Sanguinius would be absolutely epic reading indeed. You know, whoever would win, you know, it would be an extremely tough one to call, and even Russ himself is not sure if he'd be able to beat Sanguinius. I would love to read it. I'm sure we'd all love to read it. There hasn't really been much interaction between Russ and Sanguinius that we've really been able to see. Yeah, there's a bit on Terra, but you know, how about a novel set back during the Great Crusade where the Blood Angels and Space Wolves are together taking a system? You know, that would be some fantastic reading. A sparring match between Sanguinius and Russ. That would be really, really good reading. The next one I was a little surprised by, Conrad Kurz, the Night Haunter. Now, before I get all the Night Lord fans all riled up, let me explain. I was surprised, as I really felt that the Lion is getting the better of Kurz in...
Oh, just so y'all know, like, my favorite legions are the Night Lords and the Raven Guard. It's probably because I like the color black, probably, but yeah, those are my boys.
In the Angels of Caliban novel, and the other events that are taking place during the Horus Heresy over in Ultramar. You know, so that was a little surprise to me. I know Conrad Kurz is generally seen as one of the better fighters, and he especially was in the earlier Black Library Horus Heresy novels, particularly at East Fan, when Korax withdrew rather than taking on Kurz during a fight. So I can kind of see Russ umming and ahhing. I really think the key is in the description of he has the heedless power of the insane. So to me, Russ is thinking along the lines of you can't prepare for what he'll do, as he could simply do anything.
Also, I really need to look into Wolf Lord Rho. I mean, what he's doing right now is basically doing a podcast and just putting a picture on the screen. And I'm loving it, though. He should, if he's not doing a podcast or something like that, he should really get into it. I should really look at his channel a little bit more deeply, see what he's done new. So basically, I'm saying he's going to be in the lineup from now on. Beautiful voice. Love it.
So that makes sense. If I don't know what he'll do in a fight, how do I know if I would win or lose? There is a chance I would lose. And then the others, he's pretty confident with. Angron, he's too angry. Now, some people will say, hang on. Angron won during the events of Night of the Wolf. However, it's pretty clear, unless you're like a World Eater fan, when you read that Russ was holding back deliberately to not only let his forces surround Angron, but in an attempt to help his brother come to his senses and try and beat the effects the butcher's nails are having in his head. Russ clearly feels if he didn't hold back, he could defeat Angron, and hey, I'm going to agree on that one. Fulgrim, he shrugged, too proud. Perturabo and Dawn are too stolid. Guilliman is too stern to enjoy battle, and so I would beat him too. Yeah, Russ clearly isn't sweating a fight with any of those. Then the line, the absolute show stealer line, Lorgar I could spit on and that would drop him into the dirt. He is so weak from all the kneeling. So yes, it's pre-demonhood Lorgar, but that made me laugh. Russ clearly has no respect for Lorgar at all. Horus I'll discuss in a separate video, as the fight between them in Wolfsbane is definitely worth talking about, and its repercussions going forward in my mind. I really do want to talk about that in a future video. Now, what's also...
I want to look up that fight. Horus and Russ. Yeah, I want to see that one. That's going on my board. Yeah, got to put that on the board. That's going to be one of the next videos.
Interesting is the Primarchs that aren't mentioned. And we all know what happened to the great sorcerer of Prospero. The rest I could defeat as easily as this. And he snapped his fingers. As easily as snapping his fingers. Now, honestly, I think the line was added so the author didn't have to try and list each Primarch and what would Russ say about them. Because some of them are, when you think about it, some of the ones that aren't said are actually some of the possible best fighters out of the Primarchs, The lion and him duelled for ages to a standstill. Admittedly, it was more of a wrestling match between two angry brothers than an attempt to kill each other, but hey, still, neither of them got the better of each other. And then you've got the Khan and Korax, two of the better Primarchs in combat. Easily as snapping your fingers. I think that's a bit of overconfidence on Russ's part, maybe. Even Vulcan you'd expect to be a pretty tough fight due to the sheer size and strength of him. However, it's very interesting to take it for what it's worth, and that Russ clearly has a strategy in his mind and how he would fight each of his brothers. And really, what would you expect? You wouldn't expect anything less from the Emperor's executioner, would you? He would expect him to have a strategy in mind and how he would fight each and every one of them the moment he meets them and starts eyeing them up. You wouldn't really expect anything less. It doesn't mean he doesn't care for his brothers or some of his brothers. It's just the way that they're all...
I think it's just the way that he has to think as the executioner. It's like you never know if the Emperor is going to be like, get him, So you always have to be planning like Batman,
Bread. So what do you guys think? Go check out Wolfsbane if you haven't already, especially if you're a fan of the Wolf King, Leman Russ. I'm definitely going to talk about his fight with Horus in an upcoming video, as that needs talking about. Do you think Russ is right? Or do you think he's being a little boastful and full of himself? If you do, you're a heretic, I'm just saying. But, thanks for listening, guys. Drop a comment below and please like and subscribe. Helps me grow the channel and keep bringing future content to you. And with that said, I'll see you again soon.
All right, y'all, that is the video. Leman Russ is a very interesting character. It's obvious that his aesthetic comes from like Viking lore. He's searching for the world tree. He has somebody on his side named Ragnar. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, very interesting character, Wolf Lord Rho. I like his videos, so yeah, they're gonna be part of the lineup or the go-tos. The reason I even looking up Lemon, I said Lemon, it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. Leman Russ is because I'm doing the Emperor's Text-to-Speech. You can check out some of those videos. And I've gotten to episode 23. Where he appeared in it, and I was like, oh, I gotta find out about the Primarch. I've heard his name before. I know he was sent to hunt down Magnus as a trick. He was supposed to capture him. I know those parts, but I didn't know his whole thing that's going on right now. Anyway, I try to make these videos short so I could probably talk for hours, but that's about it. Anyway, check out Wolf Lord Rho's channel. Hit the like button before you go. Think about subscribing. And until the next time we meet, peace. You damn heretics.
We usually play a game of get the fuck out unless you have clothes on.
You must be terrible at that game, Father.
Shut the fuck up, Rogel.
It seems like there is a biochemical basis for at least the way people identify, demonstrate, magnetize an imaginary category. Something that we need to examine a lot more closely.
You need help.
Looks like we've got another mystery on our hands.